Right now, as you're listening to these words, something strange is happening that you almost never think about. There is a you here, an inner voice, a feeling of I am. You know your name, your story, your problems, your plans for tomorrow. But tonight, in just a few hours, something shocking will happen. You'll lie down. You'll close your eyes. Your thoughts will start to unravel, and then you will disappear. The sounds of the room will dissolve into nothing. The weight of your body will vanish from your awareness. The constant stream of inner commentary simply stops. The person who is here right now, listening, will cease to exist for about 8 hours. And yet, something continues. Something experiences entire worlds while your physical body lies motionless in the dark. You talk to people who aren't there. You face dangers that don't exist. You feel joy so intense it leaves an emotional afterglow the next day. If sleep was only brain maintenance, like breathing or digestion, why would it come with full-blown alternate realities? Why does your mind, every single night, generate movies with plots, emotions, relationships, fear, love, loss, and wonder? The real question is not, do I sleep? The real question is, where exactly do I go when I sleep? Modern science has opened a narrow window into this mystery. We know that during REM sleep, your brain lights up like a private cinema. The visual cortex erupts in electrical storms. Your limbic system, the deep emotional brain, fires as strongly as when you're awake. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, the rational gatekeeper that says this makes no sense, goes partially offline. That's why you can fly over impossible landscapes, talk to long-dead relatives, or breathe underwater without thinking. Wait, this is nonsense. Neuroscience can map the mechanics, REM phases, memory consolidation, the glymphatic system flushing metabolic waste. It's elegant, measurable, and it fits a comforting materialist story. Consciousness is just brain activity. But then come the anomalies, and the neat story starts to crack. You've probably had that one dream, the one that felt more real than the room you're in right now. You remember the weight of the rain on your skin, the exact smell of a place that doesn't exist, the face of a person you've never met, but somehow deeply know. Science tells you it was random firing of neurons, but your body disagrees. Your heart was racing. Your nervous system reacted as if it were there. So what do we do with the dreams that refuse to stay just dreams? In 1966, London psychiatrist John Barker started collecting reports of people who dreamed of a disaster before it happened. More than 60 different dreamers came forward. They didn't just have a bad feeling. They described specific details of the Aberfan catastrophe in Wales, where a collapsing coal tip buried a school and killed 144 people. One woman dreamed of children running and screaming, their faces covered in black coal dust, calling for their mothers. Another saw rescuers digging through rubble in a scene that later matched photographs almost exactly. These dreams came days and even weeks before the tragedy. Mainstream explanations reach for probability. Our brains are pattern machines. Some people dream vaguely about disasters all the time, and sometimes reality coincidentally matches. But that explanation starts to collapse when you meet cases that are too specific. A man in California dreams of a childhood friend in another country, crashing at a particular crossroads with a second car of a particular color. 3 days later, it happens. Then there are the lab experiments that simply shouldn't work. Psychologist Stanley Krippner spent years studying telepathic dreams in controlled settings. In one famous series, senders sat in a separate room, focusing on a randomly chosen image, a picture of a painting, a scene, a symbol. At the same time, dreamers slept in a soundproof room down the hall, their brains wired to EEG machines. Repeatedly, the sleepers reported dreams filled with images that matched the target pictures far beyond chance. Fish when the target was a sea painting, dancers when the target was a ballet, religious symbols when the target was a cathedral. Statistical analysis suggested the odds of pure chance were tiny. And yet, mainstream science mostly ignores these results. Not because the data is weak, but because it doesn't fit the story. That consciousness is only locked inside the skull. There's another problem: emotional reality. You wake from a nightmare drenched in sweat, heart slamming against your ribs, your muscles primed to fight or run. If dreams are fake, why does your body react as if they are real? I've spoken with war veterans who describe certain combat dreams as indistinguishable from real firefight. The smell of smoke, the sound of gunfire, the panic of searching for a wounded friend. Their nervous systems don't care that it was just a dream. The trauma, the emotional impact, the after effects, all real. So here, as the uncomfortable truth, our current scientific models can describe how the brain behaves during sleep, but they cannot explain why those brain patterns produce experiences that seem to bend time, space, and logic. Every culture before ours treated dreams as more than neural garbage. Australian Aboriginal peoples speak of the dreaming as a deeper layer of reality from which the physical world arises. Ancient Egyptians believed dreams were journeys of the soul into other realms. Tibetan Buddhists built entire spiritual systems around dream yoga, training the mind to stay lucid and aware during sleep. Using dreams as a laboratory for consciousness, were they all simply naive? Or did they notice something we have chosen to ignore? Maybe the question is not, are dreams real? Maybe the question is, what kind of reality do we touch when the everyday self disappears? And the deeper we go, the stranger that answer becomes. Thanks for watching, and if you want to explore more mysteries like this, make sure to subscribe. Imagine this. You open your eyes and you're floating 2 meters above your own sleeping body. You see yourself lying in bed, one arm thrown awkwardly over the blanket, your mouth slightly open. The blanket has slipped off your left shoulder, exactly the way you're seeing it now, from above. Your book is still open on the nightstand, on pages 247 and 248, with a brown coffee stain in the lower corner of page 248. Your phone screen is glowing. 3:17 a.m. There's a notification you don't remember seeing before you fell asleep. The room is crystal clear, sharper, brighter, more vivid than in normal life. The air feels electric, almost physical, buzzing with possibility. This is not like a dream. Nothing warps or morphs without reason. Walls don't melt. Your childhood home doesn't suddenly turn into your office. Your thinking is calm and logical. You know who you are. You know where your body is. You know this is not just a dream. You are awake, outside your body. And then you snap back. You jolt. You gasp. You're in bed again. You grab your phone. 3:17 a.m. That same notification is still there. You turn to your book. Pages 247 and 248. The same coffee stain. You haven't had a weird dream. You've had an experience that breaks the rule that your consciousness must stay inside your brain. This might sound like science fiction, but cultures have been describing this for thousands of years. Ancient Egyptians spoke of the Ba, a subtle soul bird that could leave the body and travel while you slept. Tibetan Buddhists developed advanced practices of sleep yoga, learning to remain fully aware in states of dream and out-of-body experience. Australian Aboriginals talk about the spirit traveling long distances in sleep, gathering knowledge and wisdom, then returning at dawn. What's shocking is how similar these descriptions are across cultures that never contacted each other. People describe the sensation of rising or rolling out of the body, a hyper-real clarity, what they call more real than real. The ability to observe distant locations with impossible accuracy, and sometimes they bring back verifiable information. This brings us to a man named Robert Monroe. In the late 1950s, Monroe was a successful businessman, not a mystic, not a monk, not a guru. Then he started having spontaneous, out-of-body experiences. At first, he was terrified, convinced he was dying or losing his sanity. But instead of suppressing it, he did something unusual. He began to document everything. His journals turned into one of the most detailed records of OB phenomena we have. Monroe claimed that during these episodes, he traveled to places he had never been, saw people he didn't know, and overheard conversations happening right then, many miles away. And again, those details checked out. In one documented case, Monroe visited a friend's house in another state. He saw the friend in the garage, trying to repair a specific piece of equipment. He noticed the exact tools being used, the nature of the malfunction, even the friend's growing frustration with a single stubborn bolt. The next day, Monroe called him. Every single detail was confirmed. The time, the broken device, the infuriating bolt. This was not a symbolic dream. It was an accurate observation of physical reality from a vantage point outside his body. If even a fraction of Monroe's documented cases are genuine, our basic assumption that consciousness is just a byproduct of neurons is incomplete at best and wrong at worst. Now, let's add another layer to this mystery: chemistry. Deep in the Amazon rainforest, shamans have known for centuries about a molecule they call the spirit key, a substance so powerful that one inhalation can dissolve the boundary between worlds. It's possibly the most intense natural psychedelic known. It appears in hundreds of plants. It's revered in rituals across continents, and it has another, far more disturbing secret. Your own brain may be making it every single night. The small, pinecone-shaped pineal gland, nestled near the center of your brain, is believed to produce DMT endogenously, especially during certain phases of sleep and near death. If that's true, then each night, as you slide into dreaming, your brain quietly releases one of the most powerful consciousness-shifting chemicals in existence, a built-in portal. Psychiatrist Rick Strassman, often called the DMT doctor, spent years legally administering DMT to volunteers in a clinical setting, and what they reported sounds eerily familiar. Over and over, people described leaving their bodies, rocketing through tunnels of light, entering vast, crystalline cities, meeting beings that were not just projections, but clearly intelligent, curious, and aware of them. These weren't vague, fuzzy hallucinations. They were structured experiences with a beginning, a middle, and an end. Experiences that felt, in their words, more real than this reality. Many reported the same motifs: fractal geometry, hyper-advanced spaces, and encounters with entities that seemed to be waiting for them. Different cultures, different backgrounds, same chemical, and startlingly similar worlds. Now, place this next two reports of OBEs, lucid dreams, and near-death experiences. Same tunnels, same light, same encounters with deceased relatives, same sense of crossing a boundary into somewhere else. Different triggers, but it seems to be the same territory. So what if your brain is not just a generator of consciousness, but also a receiver, like a radio that doesn't create music, but tunes into it? In that model, DMT is not a hallucinogen in the sense of creating false images. It's a tuning agent, shifting your inner receiver to pick up other layers of reality. Pure nightly dreams, especially the strange, hyper-vivid ones, might not be random brain noise. They might be glimpses through that chemical window into domains that exist regardless of whether you believe in them. Domains that shamans, monks, mystics, and now neuroscientists and psychonauts have been stumbling into for a very long time. So, when your consciousness slips loose in the night, separating from the everyday sense of me in this body, is it really just imagination? Or are you quietly crossing borders your waking mind has no language for? Thank you for watching. You wake up. The alarm cuts through the last fragments of sleep. For one brief, fragile second, you remember a face, a street, a voice saying something important. You reach for it, and it dissolves. A whole world collapses in seconds, like a universe erased with one swipe. You're left with nothing more than a strange sadness, a sense of having lost something real. We're told this is just how memory works. Dreams aren't stored properly. That's why you forget them. But what if it's not that simple? New research suggests something far stranger. Your brain may not just fail to store dreams. It may be actively deleting them, See, in your waking life, a region called the hippocampus helps turn experiences into long-term memories. During sleep, its activity changes, which explains some forgetting. But scientists noticed something else. At the exact moment you transition from sleep to wakefulness, specific neurochemicals surge through your brain, acting like an internal delete button. They don't just neglect to record the dream. They systematically dismantle it, preventing it from ever entering your conscious memory. Now, evolution doesn't build expensive machinery for no reason. We don't need a complex erasure system for meaningless noise. We need it for things that are too powerful, too destabilizing, or too disruptive to bring fully into the day. So the real question might not be, why do we forget our dreams? But rather, what are we being protected from remembering? But the eraser isn't perfect. Some dreams refuse to die. They cut through that chemical fog and anchor themselves in you for years. These are the heavy dreams. The one where a dead relative gave you precise, helpful advice. The one where you visited a city you'd never seen, then recognized it years later in real life. Or the one where you lived an entire lifetime loved, married, lost, and grew old, all in a single night. Psychologist Jennifer Parker collected thousands of reports of what she called dreamlife. People described experiencing full decades in a single sleep. Marriages, careers, friendships, children, even deaths. One woman, Maria, dreamed a 30-year marriage to a man named Tomas. She remembered their first date, their fights, the home they bought, the faces of their 3 children. She held his hand as he died. She grieved. Then she woke up, back in her original life. The grief was so overwhelming that she had to take time off work to recover from the death of a person who, in this reality, never existed. Except to her, he had existed. Emotionally, her nervous system had lived those 30 years. How can a brain spin out a life with such detail, such depth, such coherence in just a few hours? And why does it so often feel like you're remembering, not inventing? This is where theoretical physics quietly joins the conversation. The many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics suggests that every possible outcome of every event exists in its own parallel branch of reality. Every choice you didn't make, every path you didn't walk, every version of you that could have been. In that view, the universe isn't a single line, but an infinite library of timelines, stacked side by side. Ancient traditions were already there. Hindu cosmology speaks of countless planes of existence. Buddhist teachings describe multiple realms of being. Shamans talk about traveling to other worlds in their dreams. Different language, same core idea. Reality is layered. Now, let's combine this with what we know about dreams. What if, when you sleep, your consciousness isn't just fabricating fake worlds, but is sliding sideways into these neighboring realities, sometimes only for seconds, sometimes for what feels like years? That would explain why some dreams feel impossibly real, why their physics is consistent, why the people in them seem to have lives that don't revolve around you. You're not the author of those words. You're just a visitor. Think about the strangest dreams you've ever had. Underground cities with impossible architecture that you somehow understood instinctively. Vast libraries full of books written in languages you can't read, yet feel strangely familiar. Landscapes where the horizon curves upward, enclosing you inside a self-contained universe. Stories from around the world describe these same motifs. If dreams were purely personal inventions, why would so many people from different cultures keep visiting such similar places? But if consciousness can drift into shared territories, alternate layers of reality, then multiple dreamers could be wandering through the same non-physical spaces, bringing back scattered fragments. And then there is the knowledge. A woman in Ohio wakes up speaking phrases in a rare Tibetan dialect she has never studied. A mechanic in Detroit dreams of complex mathematical formulas that later turn out to be legitimate advanced equations. A child draws detailed maps of a vanished city that archaeologists identify as matching an ancient settlement destroyed long before the child was born. These are not just symbolic dreams. They look more like someone bringing home souvenirs from places they weren't supposed to visit. Information appears not as something learned, but as something remembered. If your nightly journeys sometimes slip across the border into other versions of reality, then impossible knowledge stops being impossible. It becomes leakage. Now, let's add one more layer. Déjà vu. That eerie feeling. I've lived this moment before. The same angle of light, the same words, the same glass on the table. We're told it's just a glitch in memory. But what if it's not a glitch, but a glimpse? What if déjà vu is the moment when a forgotten precognitive dream briefly resurfaces? Your rational mind doesn't recall the dream's imagery, but your deeper awareness recognizes the scene. It's not "this feels familiar because my brain misfiled something," but "I have been here before in the night, before it happened." Indigenous cultures see it exactly this way. For many Aboriginal Australians and Native American nations, dreams aren't fantasy. They are travel. Travel in time, travel in space, travel in possibility. They cultivate practices to remember and use these journeys to receive guidance, to avoid danger, and to understand their path. Our culture, by contrast, trains us to dismiss dreams as nonsense and treats forgetting as normal. Maybe it's not an accident that this also keeps us locked into a very narrow definition of reality. So here is the most radical possibility. When you dream, you are not a fragile little brain hallucinating in the dark. You are a traveler. You move through moments that haven't happened yet here, through worlds that exist alongside this one, through lives you might have lived, and through territories shared with other forms of consciousness. And every morning you come back. That built-in forgetting system slams most of the doors shut, so you can function in this version of reality without constantly bleeding into others. But some doors don't close completely. They show up as a dream you can't shake for years. A feeling that a stranger is an old friend, a skill you just picked up suspiciously fast, or a déjà vu that stops your breath. These are not bugs in the system. They're breadcrumbs, hints that what you call you is far bigger than one body, one timeline, one life story. Tomorrow morning, you'll wake up again. You'll trust your room, your phone, your schedule. You'll treat this layer of existence as the only solid one. But next time you lie down and close your eyes, remember this: you are not simply switching off. You are standing on the threshold of an enormous, invisible geography. A network of times, worlds, and possibilities that your consciousness quietly visits every single night. Whether you recall it or not, you are already a seasoned traveler in those realms. So tonight, as the world fades and the first images begin to form behind your closed eyes, sweet dreams, traveler. If you're still here watching my videos, I want to say something simple. Thank you. In a world of endless noise and distractions, the fact that you choose to spend your time here means more than you can imagine. It means you're one of those rare people who wants to go deeper, question reality, and look inside yourself, not just outside. I'm honestly happy that there are people who share these interests, these questions, this search for meaning. So if you feel this space resonates with you, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone who might need it. Your support helps this content reach more people who are also quietly searching. Thank you for being here, really.